Hello, and thanks for joining. This morning, we are going to be talking about upcoming Q1 reviews and how to use UltiPro. We will additionally have some links in the email that we're sending out with FAQs on how to conduct a performance review and how to write a performance review, as well as why it's important to do this. But this piece, this tutorial is really about how to use UltiPro as the tool for your performance review. And for several of you, this is probably old hat. We've now been using UltiPro since our 2017 performance reviews. And for many of you, you're also doing the quarterly performance reviews in the system. So what I want to do is take a big step back. Let's look at the big picture of what our talent management cycle is at EA Sween. So our talent management cycle, overarching, we have our check and adjust process. So throughout the year, you as a leader want to be regularly checking in with your teams to make sure that the outcomes and the performances are correct, and also to ensure that your teams understand why their work is valuable, how they add additional value to the organization so that we can get really the biggest outcome and reward that we're looking for. So then as we dive a little deeper, you will see that we have quarterly performance reviews. The Q1 performance review would be what most people would think is a traditional performance review, where you as a leader are going to be reviewing the goals that you and the employee have set, including PDPs, as well as competencies, or what we think of from the job description is the essential functions of the job. So those competencies come straight from the job and are here for you to review. And then we have 3 smaller quarterly reviews, which are focused on goals and PDPs once a quarter. And again, it's really just a time to make sure you're connecting with your employees and that two-way feedback is happening. For many of you, Q1 also means a time for merit increases for your team, so that's out there. And then for folks in other areas of the organization that are doing merit increases based on hire dates, you'll continue to do that. And then in the summer, we do our large talent review, which many of you participated in this past summer, which seems like eons ago. And so thank you all very much for the great work that you did during the talent review process. And then in the fall to winter, we also do job description reviews, just to make sure that, again, when you're doing the Q1 review and those competencies, that content is in there, it matches up to what it should match up to, what the person's job is. And so just a review of why we went to quarterly reviews. We want to make sure that we've got that great two-way feedback. Many of you have shared the value and the importance that you see when you connect with your team more. And so we wanted to make sure to block some time once a quarter to do that. We are also, all the goals and PDPs are in UltiPro. We want to keep that in front of you, keep it visible to both the employee and you as the leader, to make sure is what the employee or the team member working on, does that match the needs of the business? Does it still make sense? Have the needs changed or shifted? And then is it realistic? Do we have the time, tools, and resources needed to complete that goal or PDP? Does the employee have what they need? And then, of course, always leveraging UltiPro. We want transparency. We want that visibility to the employee. And that's why we decided to go with UltiPro as our tool. And so that way the visibility is really there. Employees can always look at previous reviews. They can look up their goals, their PDPs. It's all there at the touch of their fingertips on a mobile capable device as well as a computer. All right, so let's talk Q1. So I'm going to go through a lot of detail in this process. You'll also get the PowerPoint and the standard work. And part of the reason why I talk through the process in such detail is I want to make sure you feel comfortable with the steps. So the Q1 review, there's a lot more steps than in our other quarterly reviews. And so I just wanted to go through this in detail since it's been about 12 months since the last time we did one. So HR, specifically Christy, is going to kick off the review distribution, and you'll be getting multiple emails of reviews you need to complete. You, as the manager, are going to complete the review for each employee. You're going to send that to your HR partner, who's going to review it, make sure it's a concise message, there's good content, and if it's all thumbs up, the HR partner is going to forward that on to you as the manager so you can deliver the review with your employee. If there are any recommendations that the HR partner might have, they will send it back to the manager to make adjustments. So once the review is ready for the manager to deliver to the employee, the manager would then have that review with the employee and then forward it on to the employee to sign off on. So the employee at that point can make comments or feedback on the review, and then the manager will sign off on it one more time. So now let's go even deeper into what that process looks like. And again, as I mentioned, online performance reviews, it's really about simplifying the process. We used to move a lot of paper around, and things would get lost in the process. And this way, it's all in the system. It's mobile capable. So for those of you on the go, in the field, it's very easy to use. And again, that transparency piece really hits home. And this is really from your all's feedback of what you were looking for in a system, and we're trying to find something that is simplistic, but we get the biggest bang for your effort or bang for your buck. So once Christy kicks off the performance reviews, HR distributes them. You as the manager or supervisor are going to get an email notification saying, hey, it's time for you to do Fred Flintstone's review. And there'll be a link in that email that directs you to UltiPro. Once you get into UltiPro, you will see your to-do item. There's a little badge that pops up, meaning you have an action item to complete. So you can click on that link, and it'll bring you to the screen of all your to-do items. Now, this is the most tricky part about the entire performance review as far as a technology perspective. I'm going to call this out. We in the U.S. read from left to right, and so our eye naturally gravitates to the left-hand side of the screen. We see this hyperlink, and we want to click on it. That is the wrong hyperlink to click on. You want to come over here to the edit button, and that is where you will be prompted to the next screen, which is and you'll be able to then go into each section. But I do want to back up real quick here. You can also go in through your talent dashboard and see each review under the employee. And then if you do it that way, it'll bring you back to your to-do list here and you'll go in. So either way works. I just wanted to show you both. So no matter which path you go in, either through the talent dashboard or through your to-do list, it'll bring you here to the review summary, and you are going to click on the green button. There'll be a green button for goals, which are those goals you and the employees have set, as well as their PDP. That's all going to be in this section. And then the competencies. The competencies are the essential functions of the job. Those pull directly from the job description. A couple of years ago, we got feedback that the rating systems were just a little too simplistic and didn't really give enough direction or guidance on what the color scheme you should use. And so taking the feedback from you as leaders, we developed a new system, and we rate both competencies and goals. So we have two different rating systems. Competencies, you'll see here, go from unsatisfactory contributor to distinguished contributor and everything in between. And then goals go from did not achieve expected results to achieve more than expected results. And part of the reason why we created two different rating systems is the fact that goals, if you're using the SMART goal system, should be specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. So there's a real definition, and it's something that you can complete, where a competency is more of a behavior-based or knowledge-based result that you're looking for. So that's why we've created the two different rating systems. Both goals and competencies will also be an NA score, just in case potentially you didn't inactivate a goal that needed to be inactivated, or maybe you reviewed that goal previously, so you didn't want to review it again. The other thing would be maybe the competency, maybe something has changed with the job description, so it's no longer relevant. Maybe the employee is new in the position, and so therefore they haven't learned that piece of the job yet. So you can put NA. And by scoring it NA, it will not impact the overall score for that section. Just wanted to give you a heads up there. And this is what it looks like when you go into each either competency or goal. You'll see that there is a drop-down function here where you can select the rating, and then you can enter in specific feedback. And here, I'm going to really encourage you to think about what you want to say to the employee that will add value, give them quality feedback that's actionable for them to use. I would encourage you here not to just rephrase the competency or the goal, but to actually put in how they're achieving it, what are the outcomes, what are you seeing, you know, maybe what their strengths are against this, what are some of their opportunities around this. Engagement comes from getting quality feedback, and this performance review is a piece of that quality feedback, and so we want to put a little extra time. I'm not asking you to put a ton of energy into it, because the conversation is where the heart of the feedback comes from, but we still want to have documented feedback. So for me as an employee, I want to be able to look back on my reviews maybe throughout the course of the year and see, what was it? What was that feedback? How was I supposed to do something? It really then becomes a guide rather than just a mark. It's not a report card. It is a performance review that I should be able to take and use throughout the course of the year. Once you have completed the section, make sure you save and close. Saving is always important. And then you'll move on to the next section. So the goal system and the competency system, the technology works the exact same for both. The third section is overall comments. This is an optional section. So some folks, when they're in goals or competencies, like to put the development needs and the overall assessment and really wrap it up and tie it all up nicely in those sections. Other folks like to reserve general feedback for the very end. And so it's really up to you as a leader how you want to use that section if you want to. Some things you might use that for would be to address strengths or developmental areas or potential PDPs that you would look or recommend the employee to have in the upcoming months, and what tools potentially the employee could use for development. So really up to you as a leader if you want to use that third section or not. Because we use two different rating scales, we use the competencies and the goals, it doesn't then automatically calculate a final score. So you will manually have to select how the overall performance is for the employee. If you click on this competency rating scale, it'll pull it up and you'll see the rating scale. So you, again, have all the definitions right in front of you. And then you would select from this drop-down what you want as that overall rating. So the next step would be at the very bottom of the screen. You need to send the review forward to your HR partner. Here is a help list if you're not quite sure who your HR partner is. take a gander there, and then click send. So once you hit send, you won't be able to make any edits because it'll be with the HR partner. Now, if anything comes up, the HR partner can always send it back to you. And so this is the time where we can edit between, so HR is going to be reviewing if there's any comments or suggestions or feedback or edits that need to be made, HR will let you know. And if anything pops up, because of course, once you hit send, there's probably something that comes into your brain that says, oh shoot, I really should have put that in the review. Just let HR know and they can move it back to you. If everything looks good, HR is going to forward it on to you as a manager. That way you know you're ready to have that conversation with the employee. So step 9 is all about delivering the performance review to your employee in person or over the phone. If you have a chance, I'd really like you to take a look at a couple of the additional resource links that we have in this email that can tell you how to prepare for the performance review, such as scheduling time dedicated to the employee where you're not going to have interruptions, potentially meeting off-site or a very neutral place. All of that can be really helpful to have a good conversation with your employee. The other thing I would encourage you to do here is you know your employee best, so do what you think works great, but I would encourage you not to send the review to the employee in UltiPro before you have the conversation, or at least not too far in advance. Potentially a couple hours or maybe the day before, so the employee has a good chance to review the content before you meet. But once you send the review to the employee, it cannot be edited anymore. So you're locked down. But also you want to make sure that the review isn't just sort of sitting out there in limbo land, that the employee gets it, but you don't have anything scheduled yet, or it's going to be like a week or a long time. You want to make sure that the timing of when the employee gets the review and when you meet is relatively close together. So again, things don't sit out there sort of in limbo and hanging out there. So you'll forward the review on to the employee when you're ready, when you think it's the best case, and then the employee will be able to review and sign. Much like you did previously when you forwarded the review to HR, you can either forward it to the employee, Fred Flintstone here, to sign and complete, or if something comes up, you can always send it back to HR for additional edits. And if you send it back to HR, HR can then send it back to you. So if you want, you can always print off a copy of the review for the employee. You guys can talk through it, get again, that two-way feedback that is so important. And then if something comes up and you want to either change the content that you've entered or a rating, that can be done. But if you send it to the employee, nothing can be edited in the review. I don't know if you hear me verbally underlining that statement or not, but that's a verbal underline there. So the employee is going to sign off the review much like you have been working with the review. So they're going to log into UltiPro using their same username and password that they use for everything else, for viewing their pay stubs, their benefits, open enrollment, all that good stuff. Everyone's username is Sween and then their employee number, and each person has an active password. If for some reason there's an issue with the password, they can either click the forgot password link or contact HR. The other thing here that's important to know is that employees can sign off on their performance review on a mobile device using the mobile-friendly website, but not through the mobile app. So a big differentiator there. So make sure that if the employee is going to sign off using a smartphone, that they log into this website. The employee will also get an email notification to sign off on the review. If they have a work email, they will get it sent to their work email. If they have a personal email in the system, they will get it to that personal email, if that personal email, of course, is still up to date. And they'll get a link. They'll click into UltiPro, sign in, and they are going to get the same sign-off screen, that same to-do list that you have as a manager or supervisor. They're going to have the same screen. And again, their eye is going to naturally gravitate over to the left-hand side. Just make sure that they know to click the edit to sign and complete. Then once the employee is signed off and completed, it's going to go back to you, manager, one last time. Here you can view any of the comments or feedback the employee has entered into the review before you sign and complete that final sign-off. So I know it's not 12 steps and that feels like a whole lot, but I promise you it's really not that much. I just wanted to break it down into details so you knew each step of the way what was happening and could also guide your employees through that process. So overall, HR is going to kick off the reviews here in a couple days. Managers, you're going to complete the review. HR is going to do an eyeball check to make sure that the content is spot on. Then they're going to forward those reviews to the manager, where manager, you can choose how and when you want to send that review on to your employees. The employee is going to sign off and provide their feedback. Feedback is optional if they choose to. And then manager, you are going to do a final signature so you can review the employee's comments and feedback. If you have any questions, reach out to your leader, your HR partner. Hopefully you'll find that now that we've been using UltiPro for a couple of, really 2 years now, for most of you, it's going to be old hat. For those of you that are new to the organization, welcome. Hopefully you find the standard work that we've attached this video, as well as other resources that we have for you valuable. But if you run into any technical quandaries, Christy Duncanson is by far an absolute amazing resource that we have here at EA Sween. And then I'm second string, but I'm happy to stumble through things if Christy is not available. So thank you all very much. Good luck with your Q1 reviews. And remember, it's about the conversation more than anything else. So enjoy, spend some good quality time with your employees. Let them know the value that they bring. And get them the feedback they need to be successful in 2020. Thank you guys very much and have a wonderful afternoon.